So how many events have you done so far?
Well, you know, sometimes people really, you can't just rush them through it. Like, serious stuff is going on, so you have to be really mindful, you know, always mindful.
I did one event that was like a night of tarot readings,
Yeah.
and it was just like, hello.
Can I borrow this?
Yes,
And I
yes,
will-
yes, yes.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi. It's nice and snap. And you're all on time. This is wild. Hello to everyone online as well. Give us a wee shout if you have any issues with the audio. It is going to be coming off lapel mic, so it will be better when they're talking. But yeah, give us a wee shout. Welcome to a weird and wonderful event inspired by a really beautiful book that has given us an opportunity to try something a little bit different. So I'm just here to very briefly tell you what's going to happen tonight, which is that we're going to have a wee 30-minute chat about the book, about the beautiful Tarot Reader of Versailles. And then we're going to have tarot readings next door from Anya, single card readings for 8 people whose names are going to be pulled out of a hat at the end. So you will have given your name when you came in if you wanted to be entered into the draw. And then while those are happening in the other room, we have witchy and tarot books on this table and in the back display and in the front room as well. And so you can stick around and have a browse, or you can stay and chat and linger. We have some signed copies that you can pick up if you don't want to wait around until after the readings. But if you then want to get your book signed, then Anya will do dedications and answer any lingering questions at that point. And I think that's everything. Which,
The 45-minute online reading
oh,
quiz.
yes. And then, yes, we've got the raffle as well. So these are single card readings, but you also will have put your name in for a raffle, which will, including anyone who's online, you can just pop it in the chat during the event, and we will draw a name for a full tarot reading that will happen over Zoom with Anya. So you're really getting quite the night and the experience for this beautiful book, which leaves me only to hand over to the wonderful Alice Tarbuck, who is going to introduce tonight's event, and our wonderful speaker. Will you please put your hands together for Alice and Anya? There we go.
Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here and to see everyone in the room and to see everybody online. Well, imagine you all. You're all beautiful. I am just going to introduce Anya. We have half an hour. So what will happen is Anya will read a little bit for us from the amazing Tarot of Versailles, and then we will talk. Well, I'll ask some questions, and then there'll be 5 minutes of questions from the audience. So, like, if you want to ask a question, think about it now. Anya Bergman is the internationally best-selling Irish author of The Witches of Varda. She has published 10 novels under her real name, Noelle Harrison, and possesses a doctorate from Edinburgh Napier University, where she is also a lecturer in creative writing. Anya has been reading tarot cards professionally for over 30 years. So over to you, Anya.
Thank you so much, Alice. Can everybody hear me? I'm not sure, is this on? Yes. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming along. So we're going to start off, I'm going to read a little bit from the book. So I've chosen a very short piece from the opening chapter, just to give you a little bit of context.
The chapter opens actually 9 years after the main events of the book. And our heroine, Mademoiselle Lenormand, who was a real woman, she's in her secret tarot salon in the back of her bookstore. I think every bookstore should have a secret tarot salon. And she's reading cards for these two guys who've come to see her. They came to see her before. It's an Irish revolutionary called Wolfe Tone and his friend, a French journal called General Humbert, who are real historical figures. And they want to get information from her about the possibility of an invasion of Ireland by the French to get independence for the Irish. So that's the context. But something else happens as she's reading their cards. Someone else comes along in the middle of the reading. So I wonder if I can do both. Hang on.
Can I hold something?
Maybe the bookmark, actually. Wonderful. Okay. The curtains rustle as if the window is open, but the shutters in the salon are permanently closed. Smoke from the candles curls and twists towards the ceiling. It makes strange shapes as if someone is blowing upon it as it billows and wisps away. Lenormand keeps shuffling the cards as the spirit snakes towards her. For which of these men does it come? Both are so splendid in their military uniforms. Humbert has thick black wavy hair and dark eyes, while Wolfe Tone's narrow face and long nose add to the distinguished air he imparts with his high collar, braided epaulettes and fine hair tied low with a small black ribbon. Both are older than her, though not by much, and yet they are considered in their prime, while she, at the age of 25, is an oddity, unwed and childless, unnatural creature that she is to wish for no husband nor children. The spirit is shadowing the movement of her hands, and she can feel its presence so close that her skin rises in goosebumps, though the men do not notice. They never do, despite the hooded crow rustling her wings and letting out a squawk. Lenormand speaks inside her mind to the spirit. For whom do you come? Humbert Wolfe Tone, what is your message? But though it is by her side, the spirit remains silent, and now she can smell its scent. It is at once familiar, the luxurious aroma of summer roses. Her heart takes a tiny leap. Someone she once knew wore this scent. It must be a trick, for many spirits can be pranksters too. Declare yourself, she addresses the spirit again. For whom should I read? The two men sit, waiting for her to stop shuffling. Wolfe Tone is watching the cards slip through her hands, as if transfixed, while Humbert is looking into her eyes. The expression on his face is not one of fear or revulsion, which she is used to, but one of curiosity. How interesting, she thinks. The spirit still does not speak to her, but Lenormand feels a pressure upon the back of her hand, and she is stilled in mid-shuffle. She brings the cards together in a pile face down upon the table, cuts the deck, and lifts the top card to place it facing up. It is the valet de coupe. The card depicts a fair-haired boy in yellow breeches, holding a golden cup in one hand and a small dagger in the other. This card is for me, Humbert asks, his dark eyes gleaming. But you are not fair, Jean, Wolfe Tone protests, nor you. Shush, she tells him, for she can hear a sound now, in the back of her head, the distant lament of a woman. For whom do you come? She asks again inside her head. The silence within the salon is so taut that it is as if a knife could slice the air apart. What does the card mean? Wolfe Tone breaks in. It is a good omen, Humbert tells his comrade. The valet de coupe is a card of hard work and diligence, Lenormand says. It usually represents a boy on the cusp of manhood. Ah, then neither of us. Pull another, mademoiselle, Humbert insists. Lenormand selects the next card and lays it down. It is the reine de coupe, a queen in a blue gown, carries a large golden goblet, her gaze tender, her body bowed in gentle submission. Humbert frowns. Who is this queen of cups? The lost boy in the dead queen. Now she knows for certain who those floral notes of the rose belong to, while a lament in Austrian lingers in her head, and there is the feeling all around her of tragedy. The queen who was a mother before all else, the queen decried a traitor by the French people. At best they said she was a privileged, overindulged simpleton, and at worst conniving and dissolute, seeking the destruction of France. She was neither of those things. Marie Antoinette, Lenormand's erstwhile client, forsworn by so many, but not by Lenormand. Why does she return now, nearly 5 years after her death, and never before? Da, da, da.
thank you so much for bringing us into the beautiful tarot salon. I feel like we were all collectively transported to revolutionary France. So I wanted to ask a little bit. You have written here a historical novel that takes place over 2 countries, over like decades of time from more than one point of view. And I wanted to ask, what was the kind of first glitter that this was going to be a novel, and how did you discover Lenormand?
That's a good question, because sometimes I can't quite remember how it began, I'll be honest with you. I had an idea to write another book, and that sometimes happens. You think you're going to write one book and you end up writing another one. Lots of nods in the room there. So I wanted to write, I was really inspired by this true story about these 2 women who were Oxford dons in the early 20th century, and they went on a visit to Versailles, and they time traveled, or they met Marie Antoinette. And because they were very kind of logical, rational women, they didn't believe in spiritualism or spirits or anything like that. They kind of freaked out, and they spent decades trying to find a scientific reason for how this could have happened to them. And they wrote this book. You can read this book called An Adventure. Can't remember now, Miss Morley, and I can't remember their names. But anyway, if anyone's interested, I'm sure I can get that information to them. But so that was the starting point, was a book about the theory they came up with was that they had walked in Versailles on the same day that Marie Antoinette had been kind of chased in the Tuileries Palace and nearly died, and that in her state of terror, she had kind of summoned a happy memory of a time at Versailles. And so I looked into this idea of, what if you could look into people's pasts? What if you could take people back to a joyful memory, to help them escape a present terror? And that does actually happen at a point in the book. So that was actually the starting point. So I then started researching the French Revolution, and I've read tarot cards for a long time. And I came across the Lenormand Oracle deck. I don't know if anyone knows about this deck, but it's quite a famous oracle deck, which was named after Mademoiselle Lenormand died, but was inspired by her, a kind of homage to her. So I started looking up the life of Marie-Anne Adelaide Lenormand. And I thought, oh my God, this woman was amazing. She started out life as an orphan. She was thrown out of the convent school for talking to spirits, came to Paris, and somehow at a very young age managed to open her own bookshop in this secret tarot salon. She read tarot for everyone, like royalists and revolutionaries, managed to escape the guillotine. That's not a spoiler, because the book starts in 1798, so I'm not spoiling that for you. But yeah, I just thought she was fascinating. And when she died, she was one of the richest women in Paris at this huge funeral cortege. So she fascinated me. So that was the starting point, the kind of the idea of the power of past memories, and then this fortune teller bringing together the future and the past.
And the way you do that in the book is by kind of marrying these 2 worlds, these 2 women from seemingly kind of diametrically opposed backgrounds. And I want to ask you about Caitlin and Adelaide. But before I do, I wanted to ask, in your practice as a tarot reader, tarot readings can obviously be to tell of people's lives, to help make decisions, to peep perhaps into the future and the past. But they are also great creative prompts, and can be very inspiring when it comes to writing. Did you use the tarot in writing this book?
Oh, my students are laughing. We just spent the afternoon doing a workshop on how to use tarot cards to write
I'm
stories.
so sorry you're hearing this again.
So sorry, guys. But yes, I did. And on many different levels, actually. So I've always been interested in using tarot as a tool to unlock creativity anyway, because they're a tool for self-awareness and self-knowledge. So they can be used, as a kind of psychological tool, but also they can be used as a storytelling tool. And their original purpose was for storytelling games. They became very popular in Italy during the Renaissance for storytelling games. And so I realized that other writers had used tarot. I started looking into how they use tarot. So I developed my own way of working with tarot. But it's actually become very popular. There's quite a few books on using tarot for creativity. But I kind of use them with the Tarot Reader of Versailles. I use them to structure the character arc of Lenormand. through the major arcana journey. I also used every single character in the book was represented by a tarot card. So I knew their birth dates. Some were real historical figures, and it's no surprise to me. Lenormand is a Gemini, Marie Antoinette's a Scorpio. If you know any astrology, it just makes sense. So I used that to kind of develop their characters as well, along with the tarot. And then I also use the tarot for structuring it. If I got to a chapter and I was stuck, I'd pull 3 cards, see where that chapter was going. And then the other thing I wanted to do with the book was to actually make it really interactive, because sometimes I feel that tarot is used as a gimmick in a novel, and I really wanted this to be integrated. So you can, as a reader, when you read this book, you can learn how to read tarot. There are different spreads. There's a guide at the back. So you can actually learn Lenormand's readings, which I created myself.
I wanted to ask you about those because they're beautiful readings. So I am also a professional tarot reader, and your readings are incredibly doable, intuitive. I've been mucking around, pulling them, especially the one along the horns, where you make an initial decision about who you're going to be in the situation.
The 2 faces of Hathor.
Oh,
yes,
gorgeous!
Yeah.
And it's like the most kind of facing yourself reading, right? You have to make a decision about yourself. And I wanted to ask, when you see, what's your biggest tarot in books and films pet peeve? Because mine is, somebody pulls a tarot card, it is only ever a major arcana card. It is only ever death or the tower or the lovers. That's it. There's no other tarot cards.
Yeah, I mean, I would have that pet peeve too. And also just that the depiction of tarot readers is kind of witchy, creepy witchy characters. Or else like Jane Seymour in that We Shan't Name the Bad Bond movie. That's terrible with cultural appropriation. But as this kind of beautiful witchy priestess. That they just pull the death or the devil or the tower, and it's something to be afraid of. And still there's a, if I say to someone, would you like me to read your cards? It's an understandable feeling. Oh, I'm afraid what will come up. And it's like, look, I've been reading tarot for decades, and there's no such thing as a bad reading. You will always get the cards that are appropriate for you at the time. And usually they're affirmative, like a kind of blueprint of your subconscious. But sometimes you might get a few challenging cards, and that's kind of a warning. You're in control of your own destiny. And I do believe that. But I've had Bibles thrown at me because I started reading tarot cards in the 90s in Ireland.
And the Bible is heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. And I mean, what's interesting about Irish society is, we believe in fairies and magic, but there's also that Catholic thing.
Yeah.
So you get 2 sides of the coin.
And I'm really interested. So we have this kind of voice and these images in the book. You are able to learn to read the tarot by the end of the novel. Although how you feel about the tarot, right, may change throughout the scope of the novel. And I don't want to give any spoilers, so I won't say any more on that. But I wanted to ask very much about your reader and her Sybil, and how the idea of Kate came to you, Caitlin, and where this idea of bringing these 2 women's stories, how you kind of brought these 2 amazing women together.
Well, I've always been very, very interested in the Irish impact on the French Revolution, which not many people know about. They say that the first person to storm the Bastille was, in fact, an Irishman. And Paris was full of Irish people because at that time, the Irish were trying to get independence for Ireland as well. And they were very inspired by the French Revolution. And so I wanted to create someone from Ireland who was involved in that move for independence, who was passionate about freeing their country from colony, from the British. And there really was a great rebellion in Ireland in 1798, and the French really did invade, and it didn't go well though for the Irish, not at all. But it's really, not many people know about that either. So I wanted to kind of highlight all of that but I also wanted my Irish character to be a woman, and I did my best to find an Irish woman a real Irish woman who was involved in Paris in the move for independence for Ireland, and I just couldn't find anyone. Doesn't mean they didn't exist. No. It just means women's histories just aren't documented. So I made her up, and I have her going there. You know, for my reason for her going there is for Ireland. You know, but of course, Lenormand doesn't know that, and so when they bump into each other, you could say they discover that together they have this incredible power, but they have opposite abilities. So Caitlin can see into the past, Lenormand can see the future, but Caitlin's the only person that she can't see her future.
It's very sexy.
Yes, it is. Of course, love sexy.
The mystery of the inscrutable person, your best, most close person. And I wanted to ask a little bit, this moment, this French Revolutionary moment where all these ideas are getting overthrown, and for like a brief moment, Caitlin really believes that like women might be on an equal footing with men, which if we look at what happened after 1798, it didn't materialize. I wanted to ask, the concerns of the novel feel very kind of contemporary and very of the moment, and I wanted to ask about how you kind of link the feminist struggle in the novel with kind of the contemporary feminist struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really important. Any book I write, historical fiction I write, I go, well, why is this story important now? What is it resonating with now? And absolutely, as rights are shrinking in the contemporary world, this happened for women during the French Revolution. And I did want to write a French Revolution novel through the feminist gaze. And there's some incredible women, real women, who were involved in the French Revolution. One of them, L'Homme de Gauche, I probably pronounced her name wrong, I apologise if I did. She wrote the Declaration of Rights for Women before Mary Wollstonecraft. I want to say Mary Shelley. And and not many people know that as well. And for her troubles, she did end up not on a very happy ending. But I wanted to include the spectrum of really extreme radicals. There were radicals involved who they wanted a female militia. And there was a moment right at the beginning of the revolution when women were allowed to form their own societies, their own militia. There was this feeling, this wave of, oh my God, we're going to get rights too. Everything's going to change. Society's going to change. And I think I kind of felt that as a young woman as well. In the 80s, I still am a fierce feminist, but I was thinking things were really going to change. And I can't tell you how depressing it is to realise they haven't really, and could it even be worse? I don't know. So yes, I wanted to kind of evoke that and show these real women's struggles at that time.
And I think there are some incredibly moving moments where women are just on the cusp of something good, and then the novel takes a roller coaster dip. And I wanted to ask, what is it like writing Marie Antoinette? Because you follow in a hugely long line of people who have had to bring her to life, have an opinion about her, let the text have an opinion about her. How did it feel to kind of, because obviously with someone like Lenormand, she's not well known. How did it feel to approach the Marie Antoinette?
Yeah, quite intimidating, and I do tend to avoid queens because I think there's enough stories written about queens and privileged people, but I did feel that Marie Antoinette has been massively misrepresented and misunderstood. Not to say she's an angel by any means; she's a product of her time. But the more you go into her story, the more complex it is. And she did make some massive mistakes, and she was a traitor to France. There's no denying that she, at the end, she was conspiring for a foreign invasion to save herself and her children. And I think she was terrified because she knew kind of what was going to happen. So what would you do to save your kids? I don't know. So yeah, she didn't behave very well. But I think one of the things that really interested me about her was how misunderstood was her, say for instance, her little Hamlet and Le Petit Crayon, and she's mocked for dressing up as a shepherdess, but in fact she was really into Rousseau and the social contract, and she wanted a less etiquette-bound life. She wanted a quieter, more nature influenced life. So she, one of the things I did when I researched the book was I paid for a very expensive tour to see the hidden rooms of Marie Antoinette in Versailles, which are these tiny labyrinth of little rooms behind the official salons, where she actually spent most of her time with her friends. And they're done up like Laura Ashley, like little floral buds, and they're really cute. And she didn't like her friends to stand up on the ceremony, and she was hated by the French court because she for instance, she had to give birth in front of all of the court and this sort of thing. I mean, I'm not saying she had a bad time, but it wasn't a free life as such. So I was quite interested in that, and also very interested in her. I think she was a very kind of. I think her mothering was very important to her, being a mother, and she also adopted children as well. Like 2 servants died, and she adopted all their daughters. One of them was the closest friend of her daughter. So she really did love children. And one of the last things she said when she was in prison was, what about my children? Are they going to be okay? These children, she was paying for their schooling and everything. So, yeah, I think she has been a little bit misunderstood. And she didn't say, let them eat cake. I think most people know that, though. Yeah.
I would hope so, that most people know that now. I am going to check the time.
7:26. You have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Amazing. My instincts kicked in. If I had been baking a pie, we would be fine. So this is your call now, audience. We probably have time for 2 very quick questions. So over to you. Yes, hello.
So you've written over 10 books. What would you say is one of the things that stands out to you that you have learned from the time of publishing of your first book to now?
So I'm just going to repeat that for the live stream. So you've written over 10 books. What would you say was the most important thing that you've learned?
Yeah, or just one thing
or one thing that stands out from the publication of your first book to now?
It's a roller coaster. You think when you're first published, you think it's like in the movies and you get to swan around on book tours, and it's just, you start there and you're just going to go up and up and up, and it's not, it's like this. So I think the thing I would say is perseverance and tenacity, and also imposter syndrome never goes away, but you kind of don't want it to go away. It's kind of important. If you didn't have those feelings of doubt and terror every time you wrote a book and you just did it anyway, I think it would be a bit flat. And it's something I do emphasize to people starting to write and they're worried about imposter syndrome. I'm like, look, just get used to that voice in your head, because it's never going to go away, and that's okay, write despite it. So yeah. Thanks, good question.
Thank you, that was a brilliant question. Would anyone else like to ask a question? Hello, yes.
So you mentioned that you used tarot cards quite a few times. Is there any cards that came up multiple times? And if so, was there a reason that you think that might have been?
Okay, so let me just repeat that. You used tarot cards in the writing of the book. Were there any cards that came up more than once? And do you think there was kind of a reason behind that?
Gosh, it's quite hard to remember, I'll be honest with you, because I've written a whole other book since. So I'm like, what tarot card? The one that jumps out is the lightning struck tower, because it was the French Revolution. And so that did come up a lot, because there's a lot of very dramatic events in the book, but it was kind of like this change, revolution is change that has to happen, isn't it? The breaking down of a society, or the breaking down of an old way. So, I mean, I don't think the lightning struck tower is that bad a card, to be honest. It's just change is happening and you can't really control it. You've just kind of got to go with the flow and go with it. So, yeah, I think that's the card that came up a lot, if I can remember that. Thank you. Good question.
And it's one of the famous ones that you see on the movies as
well. Yes, the lightning struck tower.
The lightning struck tower.
Yeah.
So, in a moment, you are going to be stage managed beautifully towards your tarot readings. But for now, I would just like you all to join me in saying thank you so much, Anya, for this beautiful book and this beautiful chat.
Thank you, Alice, and thank you, everyone.
That's lovely. Thank
Just
you.
keep going.
I know we could talk all day, you and I.
I know, I love it.
Okay, what I'm going to do
Would you like the mic?
is, could I have your lapel mics?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that I avoid broadcasting you to the world.
Oh yeah, we don't want people's private tarot readings online.
That would be awful. There we go.
Thank you so much.
All right. So while I pick some names, shall I get you two to head on out?
Absolutely.
Alice, do you want your phone and your
gather
bits?
my bits.
There we go.
Is the water on the other side?
Yes. Yes. Hello. This is the stage management bit. I have some names in here, and I'm gonna read out a name, and then I'm gonna give you a number, and that will be the number in which you go through, and then I'm gonna put the names back in so that I can rummage around and then do the raffle draw. I think that makes sense. So, and we have some atmospheric music. Okay. Number one is going to be Sophia Smith. Sophia Smith at the back. Sophia, you are number one. Number one for Sophia. Okay. Pete Freestone. Yes. So Pete, you're number two. I've got a Pete, a Sophia. Number three, Kyra. Yeah. And number four is Iris. Do we have Iris? Iris. Five is Chloe Louise. Yes, Chloe Louise. How many have I said? What were you? Were you number five? You were number five. Okay, so number six is Naomi Saunders. Yes. 7 is Anna Harris. Do we have an Anna Harris in the room? If not in the room, then I will put it back in for the raffle.
Anna's online.
Anna's online.
Yeah,
Okay.
So we'll leave it.
Yes. Ashley? Yes? Was that 7? My God, so good at maths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, one more. And the last one is Thanos. There we go. All right, so I'm putting all these back in. And would number 1 go through to Anya? Okay, and then I'm going to do the raffle prize. And then I'm going to ask if you can stay seated and hang out with a pal, or you can come and browse the displays. In order to make it slightly easier to move around, if you are getting up, if you just fold your chair and lean it against a bookcase, and then we'll have a bit more room to move about. Okay, and so our full raffle is for Zainab. Okay, cool. All right. So that is us. And there are books through in the front room. They will be signed afterwards. We have some pre-signed ones. Enjoy the space and the books and everything. And thank you for coming.